Coming up on today's edition of Flyer News, correspondent Logan Swift checks in with Framingham High School's very own furry companion.
Next, we have Mason Garofalo presenting our weekend weather forecast.
Then, Victoria Santos and Sam Barbosa will sit down to talk with a local news and TikTok personality, Matt Shearer, to discuss the journey of his career and his passion for content making.
Jackson Zweil will also update us on the 2025 upcoming film releases in entertainment.
Finally, a story from Flyer News correspondents Adriana DeGroat and Callie Auren about a local middle school in Framingham competing for a brand new basketball court.
All that and more coming up on the latest edition of Flyer News.
Flyers. Today is day one with periods running A, B, C, D, E. From Flyer News, I'm Ben DeGroat.
And I'm Esther Elbel. Dogs have always been the perfect companion for a human, but for some, they are crucial for everyday activities. Service dogs have been used for centuries to help with physical and mental disabilities. Framingham High School even has its very own service dog, Nala, who helps students complete their schoolwork and get through the day. Flyer News correspondent Logan Swift recently had a conversation with Mr. Goldschmidt, Resiliency for Life coordinator and Nala's best friend.
Walking around the halls of FHS, you may have seen a happy four-legged animal. You even may have seen her walking around with her best pal. But you'll likely find her sleeping in her very own dog bed. Meet Nala, Framingham High School's very own service dog. Nala has been a crucial part of everyone's day at FHS, her happy wagging tail and always ready to greet you. I was lucky enough to sit down and have an interview with her. Although she didn't have much to say, Mr. Goldschmidt, Framingham High School's Resilience for Life program coordinator, had plenty to tell us about our furry friend.
My name is Mr. Goldschmidt, and I'm the coordinator and teacher for the Resiliency for Life program. So we're a program that supports about 50 students in grades 9 through 12 here at FHS. And typically these students tend to struggle academically because they have emotional challenges. So we see a lot of anxiety, sometimes depression, or some of our students have gone through some traumas that kind of weigh them down a little bit. So I'm the academic side of the program, along with Ms. Regalato, our academic monitor. And we also have Ms. Greenberg, a social worker who supports our students with their emotional struggles. So Nala has been at FHS since the spring of 2018. And I got her from an organization called NEADS. It's an acronym, NEADS. And they're located out in Princeton, Massachusetts, so near Worcester, near Mount Wachusett.
Since its establishment in 1976, NEADS, or the National Education for Assistant Dog Services, has trained nearly 1,900 dogs. These specially trained dogs have helped many people with physical and mental disabilities become independent, as well as people who are deaf, have PTSD, or autism. The dogs are also perfect in public settings such as hospitals, courthouses, and schools.
The other thing most people don't realize is that Nala was trained for over 2 years in a prison, and I've had the opportunity to go there twice with her. Once when I first finished my training, so I went to the NEADS campus for a week, April vacation of 2018, when I first met her and learned to work with her. And then right after that, I went to the prison where she was trained by the inmates, and it was just a mind-blowing experience. Like, these guys are so committed to this work, and they teach her all these rote skills, like the light switch, down, sit, stay, up, jump, so she knows all these commands that she learned in the prison. And then every Friday afternoon, puppy raisers, people and the volunteers from the community would go to the prison lobby. The guards would walk the dog out, and they would take the dog from Friday afternoon till Sunday afternoon, and they would work on skills that she couldn't learn in a prison. Going in stores and Dunkin' Donuts and going to kids' soccer games. So these dogs by the time they're handed over to the client like me, they've been through every conceivable variation of people and crowds and different modes of transportation and things like that.
Mr. Goldschmidt was nice enough to show us some of the skills that Nala has learned from Needs.
Nala, left. Oh, good girl. Up. Oh, good girl. Good girl. Hold on. Okay. Turn the page. Good girl. Turn the page. Shakespeare.
Mr. Goldschmidt had one more thing that he wanted to share with the Framingham High School community.
Always, if you want to pet the dog or learn more about the dog, just take a look at the vest first. Some people say, you know, please do not disturb because they're working dogs. But it is always a good idea to just ask if it's okay to pet a service dog. If someone sees me out and about with Nala walking with a student, there's probably a reason why we're taking a walk. So it's probably best if, you know, usually I can tell if their eyes light up, I'll usually go over and say, oh, do you want to pet her? I'll do it more proactively, but I think it's always just good common sense and courtesy to ask first. Nala, tell me a secret. Tell me a secret. Oh, she loves Flyer News.
From Flyer News, my name is Logan Swift. Let's take it back to the desk.
Earlier this week, we had our first major snowfall of 2025. Temperatures are all over the place, and seniors have yet to see their first snow day, something I'm quite disappointed in. Flyer News meteorologist Mason Garofalo is here to let us know what could be expected, and if that first snow day could be in the forecast.
Good morning, Flyers, and welcome back to this midweek's weather update. I'm your host, Mason Garofalo. Taking a look outside, currently there's snow on the ground with temperatures ranging from 10 to 15 degrees and in the highs of the low 30s. Looking back at last week, Sunday night, we got hit pretty light with about 5 inches of snow. But what's interesting about that is that snow got down all the way to Florida, with some parts of Florida getting up to 9.8 inches of snow. This is reminiscent of the 2013 snowstorm that hit this area pretty hard as well. Moving on to the weekend, Saturday is predicted to be partly cloudy with a high of 27 and a low of 21. Sunday is also supposed to be partly cloudy with a high of 36 and a low of 20. And to get prepared for next week, we will have more partly cloudy skies, with Monday having a high of 27 and a low of 20 again. That's all for this week's weather update. I'm your host, Mason Garofalo, and let's send it back to Esther.
The recent TikTok flip-flop has left thousands of creators deplatformed and endless scrollers searching elsewhere for their content and information. Luckily for them, we at Flyer News will continue providing updated news stories and entertainment. With a little guidance from local TikTok personality, WBZ News reporter Matt Shearer, Flyer News correspondents Sam Barbosa and Victoria Santos recently sat down with him to discuss the future of digital media.
Good morning, Flyers. Today we're here with the one and the only WZB radio interviewer, Matt Shearer.
Hey!
Hi, Matt. It's great to have you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's awesome to be here. Right down the street in my own neighborhood.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's local. So.
I know. I don't know if anyone knows this, but I have met both of you before.
Yes.
When I was doing a story in Framingham, I needed some reaction from people on the street, and I started interviewing, and you, Victoria, recognized me right away.
Yes, I do remember that. Matt Shearer!
Yes!
Oh my God, wait! This is Matt Shearer, oh my God!
I unfortunately didn't recognize you at first.
Do you know who I am?
No. What inspired you to start going into journalism?
You know, it was mostly the pandemic, because before, for a long time, I had been working as a talk or a radio producer. So I worked at a talk station. I worked at a top 40 station for a long time. You may remember the old AMP radio on 103.3.
Yes.
Yes, the TJ show was the morning show. I was their producer. They called me Producer Matt, and I would go out on the street and do
No
little bits.
way, that was
You're making
you?
connections. That was me.
I would
Yeah.
listen, sorry, but I would listen to that all the time every morning when going to school. That's
Awesome.
crazy.
Thank you. I know. I love hearing stories like that. People who are like now adults or close to being adults tell me, I grew up listening to you on the radio.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So that station, I was there for 7 years, and then the pandemic happened, and it was a tough time to be in radio. I mean, people weren't in their cars listening, so there was that problem. And then there was the problem that the advertisers didn't have a lot of money to be spending on advertisements, so there was no money coming in, no one listening. And a few months later, I get a call from WBZ, one of the stations that was hiring in the pandemic. And if you think about it, it makes sense, because 2020 was a pandemic and an election year. People were still tuning into BZ to get information about both of those big things. So they said, we're hiring a reporter. Do you want to come to? Oh my gosh, I've never been a reporter before. I don't, I watch TV. I know what reporters look like, but I don't know if I can do that. They convinced me that they were looking for somebody who could think about journalism a little different. Somebody who wasn't just gonna be your typical reporter who sounds like every other reporter, acts like every other reporter, and I'm like, okay, I'm sold. This is what I do. I'm a creative-minded person, so I'm really glad I took this job. It's been the best job I've ever had. I get to go every day. I'm in a different town, meeting different people. I'm not stuck in one office in a small cubicle with the same coworkers every day. It's like I'm out and I explore, and I love that.
It's fantastic.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So speaking of, going to video and during the pandemic and stuff in WBZ radio, you said you were reluctant at first.
Yeah.
What made you less reluctant to go into video editing and going out there and put your face to social media and stuff?
Yeah, so when my boss came to me and said, we want you to start doing TikToks, I was like, man, I put so much time and effort into these little audio pieces that I'm doing for the radio. I don't know how I'm gonna be able to add any more time to my day to be making videos, but I was like, I'm gonna make this as easy for myself as possible and as least cringy as possible. But what we already do on the radio, I realized, is tell compelling stories in 45 seconds or less. Let's just take those exact stories that we're doing on the radio, find a way to add a visual element to it, and just put it out there and see what happens. So that's exactly what I did. I took my radio packages, slapped some B-roll on top of it, put it out on the internet, and they weren't the most engaging, exciting videos at first, but I started to see the numbers going up, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, and then eventually finally hit that first video with 1 million views, and I was like, okay, we've got something here.
And there are so many kids who are our age and the age you were when you first started getting into radio who don't really know what to do next. So what's your biggest piece of advice for young people like us who want to get into the entertainment and journalism industry?
The best advice I can give for getting into the business is you learn so much more by doing. The stuff you learn in the classroom is great, but I think the actual experience you have of playing around with your phone and the editing platforms and whatever you have on your computer, you're gonna learn so much. That's sort of how I'm doing it, really. Like I mentioned that, my whole background is as a radio and an audio producer. I kind of had to learn video editing on the fly, but you as a young person right now have a chance to kind of keep yourself a step ahead of the competition, especially as a high schooler. If you can develop some really great video editing and audio editing skills by the time you get to college and be better at it than the other kids in your class, in your college, you're gonna be the one that gets the internship first. You're gonna be the one that gets the job first. Always try to stay a step ahead in that way. You're so lucky too now that you have all the tools you need to create a great video or podcast or whatever. All of that is in your pocket.
Thank you so much for watching this interview with Matt Shearer. And now back to the news desk.
Framingham is planning on making a splash in 2025. The Parks and Recreation staff will have a meeting on January 30th to finalize the construction of a splash pad at Cushing Memorial Park. This splash pad will be a safe and clean way for the Framingham community to congregate on hot summer days. Mayor Zislin gave his support for the splash pad, stating, quote, "A municipal splash pad is an exciting addition to any community. It provides a safe, zero-depth water play environment where children can enjoy interactive water features without the risks associated with deeper pools," end quote.
It's that time of year when the film industry has the familiar buzz of award season. While 2024 films are the main focus, many are wondering what the 2025 has in store for the world of entertainment. With announcements and teasers coming out left and right, it's hard to keep track of what to add to your watch list for the year. Thankfully, we have our entertainment enthusiast Jackson Zweil ready to give you a look into the most anticipated films coming this year and when to expect them in your local theater. Grab your popcorn and silence your phones. The show is about to begin.
Hi there, hello. My name is Jackson Zweil, and welcome to Entertainment. Today, I'm going to be going through the most anticipated films of 2025. Let's get right into it. First up, we have Captain America: Brave New World, starring Anthony Mackie and Harrison Ford, who takes over the role of Thaddeus Ross from William Hurt. Brave New World releases on February 14th. Next, Bong Joon-ho's follow-up to his Best Picture-winning Parasite, titled Mickey 17. Based on the 2022 novel Mickey 7 by Edward Ashton, the sci-fi black comedy stars Robert Pattinson. Mickey 17 releases on March 7th. Later in March, we have Disney's Snow White live-action remake, starring Rachel Zegler as the titular character and Gal Gadot as the evil queen. The film has already drummed up a considerable amount of controversy. Snow White releases March 31st. Yet another film that has had its fair share of controversy, we have a Minecraft movie. Based on the popular video game, the film stars Jack Black, Jason Momoa, Jennifer Coolidge, Danielle Brooks, and more. A Minecraft movie releases April 4th. Next up, we have Sinners. Written and directed by Black Panther's Ryan Coogler, the film stars Michael B. Jordan and Haley Steinfeld. Sinners releases on April 18th. The second film of the Marvel Cinematic Universe on this list, we have Thunderbolts. The film will feature an ensemble cast that includes the likes of Florence Pugh, David Harbour, Sebastian Stan, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, and more. Thunderbolts releases May 2nd. And now for the second Disney live-action remake on our list, Lilo & Stitch. Our remake of the 2002 animated film of the same name. The remake will be directed by Marcel the Shell with Shoes On director Dean Fletcher Camp. Lilo & Stitch releases May 23rd. Next, we have what may be the final film in its franchise, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. The 8th film in the series, and a direct follow-up to 2023's Dead Reckoning Part 1, the movie will star many familiar faces. Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning releases May 23rd. Next up, we have Karate Kid Legends. Starring franchise veterans Jackie Chan and Ralph Macchio, Legends will merge the original Karate Kid continuity, which includes Netflix's Cobra Kai, with that of the 2010 remake, of which Chan starred. Karate Kid Legends releases May 30th. Next, we have the John Wick spin-off Ballerina. Starring Ana de Armas, the film takes place in between John Wick Chapter 3 and Chapter 4. Ballerina releases June 6th. Next up, we have Pixar's Elio. The studio's first original film since 2023's Elemental, Elio releases June 13th. This brings us to the third live-action remake on the list, though this one is from DreamWorks rather than Disney. How to Train Your Dragon will seemingly follow the same story as the 2010 original animated film. How to Train Your Dragon releases June 13th. Next up, we have F1, starring Brad Pitt. Directed by Tron Legacy and Top Gun Maverick's Joseph Kosinski, the film was shot during actual F1 Grand Prix weekends. F1 releases June 17th. Next up, the follow-up to the quintessential 2002 zombie film 28 Days Later and its 2007 sequel 28 Weeks Later. Director Danny Boyle and writer Alex Garland returned from the original movie for the long-awaited prequel, titled 28 Years Later. 28 Years Later releases June 20th. In 2025, the Jurassic Park franchise returns with Jurassic World Rebirth, with Scarlett Johansson, Mahershala Ali, and Jonathan Bailey starring. Jurassic World Rebirth releases July 2nd. Next, we have the latest Superman reboot, simply titled Superman. Launching the new DC universe, DC Studios CEO James Gunn writes, directs, and produces the film, which stars David Corenswet, Rachel Brosnahan, and Nicholas Hoult. Superman releases July 11th. The third and final MCU film on our list, the reboot of the Fantastic Four franchise, titled The Fantastic Four: First Steps. The film stars Pedro Pascal, Vanessa Kirby, Evan Moss-Bachrach, and Joseph Quinn. The Fantastic Four: First Steps releases July 25th. Another reboot, we have The Naked Gun. Co-written and directed by The Lonely Island's Akiva Schaffer, the film will see Liam Neeson play Frank Debrin Jr., who was originally played by Leslie Nielsen. The Naked Gun will be released on August 1st. Our next feature on the list is, as of now, still untitled. Written and directed and produced by beloved filmmaker Paul Thomas Anderson, the film will star Leonardo DiCaprio, Sean Penn, and more. PTA's untitled film releases August 8th. Jumping ahead to the fall, we have the Michael Jackson biopic, simply titled Michael. The film stars Jackson's nephew, Jafar Jackson, in the titular role, and Coleman Domingo as his father, Joe Jackson. Michael will be released October 3rd. Another legacy sequel, we have Tron Heirs. While it's been stuck in development for over a decade, the film will star Jared Leto, Evan Peters, Greta Lee, and more. Tron Ares will release October 10th. Next up, we have the adaptation of Stephen King's sci-fi novel, The Running Man. Starring Glenn Powell and Katie O'Brien, the film is co-written and directed by Hot Fuzz's Edgar Wright. The Running Man releases November 7th. Next, we have Now You See Me 3. This threequel sees returning stars including Jesse Eisenberg, Woody Harrelson, Isla Fisher, Dave Franco, and Morgan Freeman, along with new cast members such as Justice Smith, The Holdovers' Dominic Sessa, Barbie's Ariana Greenblatt, and Rosamund Pike. Now You See Me 3 releases November 14th. Next, we have part 2 of the 2024 phenomenon Wicked, titled Wicked for Good. The film, which will adapt the second act of the Broadway musical, was filmed in conjunction with its predecessor. Wicked for Good releases November 21st. Lastly, we have James Cameron's Avatar: Fire and Ash. The third film in the Avatar series, the film features many returning cast members. Avatar: Fire and Ash releases December 19th. There are many films that were not yet mentioned. These include Dirty Dancing 2, The Russo Brothers' The Electric State, The Neon Distributed The Life of Chuck, Megan 2.0, Laika's Wildwood, Seth Reese's A Big Bold Beautiful Journey, Jeremy Allen White's Bruce Springsteen biopic Deliver Me From Nowhere, Past Lives director Celine Song's Materialist, Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein, and many, many more. That's all from me. This has been Entertainment. I'm Jackson Zweil. Let's take it back to the desk.
Here in Framingham, local businesses are the lifeblood of our community. Since the pandemic, sadly, we've had to watch many of our local storefronts shut their doors. Robinson's Hardware, a Framingham staple known for its reasonable prices, just closed after 150 years of business. The closing of their Marlborough and Framingham locations signals a national trend in the closing of local businesses as consumers flock to big box stores. Let's support our local stores and keep our friends and neighbors in business.
A local Framingham middle school basketball team has been given the opportunity of a lifetime. Not only do they get to take part in a fun competition with their fellow teammates, but they can also win a brand new basketball floor for their school. Walsh Middle School has begun a 6-week competition that is being run by the Boston Celtics in hopes of winning the brand new shiny floor. While competing, they'll be able to play with coaches, staff, and even players on the Celtics. We have our own sports analysts, Adriana DeGroat and Callie Auren, on the scene to give a better look at the competition.
Welcome back, Flyers. I'm Adriana DeGroat.
And I'm Callie Auren. We're here at one of the school gyms in Framingham, and some might say it could use a little refresh.
Luckily, the Fit for a Cause partnership granted the students of Walsh Middle School the opportunity to compete for a new gym floor.
As the reigning NBA champions, the Boston Celtics have always found ways to win on the court and ways to give back to the community off the court. This time, the Celtics have had the chance to do both, kicking off their Fit for a Cause partnership.
This event was an amazing way to start off the competition that will continue the next 6 weeks in order to decide a winner. During the duration of the competition, schools will meet weekly over Zoom to complete workouts that can earn points for them towards the grand prize.
So my name is Devin Ferlin. I'm a manager on the partner development team here at the Celtics. So I manage the day-to-day relationship with Boston Scientific. We say here that we're about two things, and that's winning basketball games and impacting kids and families in the community. It's what we strive for. We're the #1 community team in the NBA, and we like to show it. It's just really nice. We have so many different surrounding communities here in Massachusetts and around Boston. Any way that we can touch them, become involved, and show them that the Celtics are providing that support. It's really important to us. So to come into my local gym, if I was a youth like this, and have it be brand new, but also have my favorite sports team everywhere all over it, that'd be amazing. Just to have those facilities is a huge help, and to be in a gym where you feel confident and comfortable and excited to be there every day, that there's nothing that can match that.
At the event, students were able to talk with a current member of the Boston Celtics, 6'7" center forward Xavier Tillman.
As a young kid, this gym would have probably meant everything to me. It would probably felt like I'm one step closer to my dream of playing in the NBA. And even if I'm 10 years old, 12 years old, whatever, just getting a chance to be in here and understand what it takes to be able to come here, it's pretty awesome.
Not only were they able to talk with the players, they were also able to play games with them.
Students were also able to use some of their high-tech equipment used by current players to test their vertical jump, speed, and reaction time.
We'll be keeping tabs on this story over the next 6 weeks as the Walsh Middle School students work their hearts out for their new gym floor. We're wishing Walsh the best of luck. I'm Adriana DeGroat.
And I'm Callie Auren.
Sports out.
That is all for today's episode of Flyer News.
You can rewatch this and other broadcasts again on our YouTube channel or the FEC TV tab on our school's website.
And while you're at it, don't forget to check us out on Instagram at Framingham High Studios.
From Flyer News, I'm Esther Elbel.
And I'm Ben DeGroat. Have a fantastic Friday, Flyers.